Good morning, everyone. It's Sunday morning here in the backyard, and we're going to do a transplant of a fig tree that has a completed air layer. We're going to cut it, we're going to plant it, and I'm going to show you how to do that in just a moment. All right, so if I said Smyrna, San Pedro, and common fig, what does that make you think about? No clue? Okay, maybe some of you guys know, some of you gals know the difference between those three figs. If you really want to know, go check out on my website, peppysplants.com, and hit fig as a search, and you'll get a lot of information. But I'm going to give you a quick overview, okay? A common fig is what we grow in Florida and in many other parts of the United States. There's no need to worry about a wasp. Yes, a wasp instead of a bee, a wasp that actually flies in to the fig, goes inside and does the pollination, okay? We're not worried about that with common figs. Then you have those San Pedro and you have the Smyrna, and it's a whole different process. You need two different types and so on, and it's a very specific wasp. So if you want to learn all the details, go to peppysplants.com and do the search for fig. Now, this particular fig also has, and most common figs and most other figs, when you're growing them in a very humid environment like here in Florida, you're going to be dealing with rust. And rust is a fungus that gets on them. You're never going to 100% eliminate it because it's just going to happen. Try to just water the soil, and that'll help to control it quite a bit. Now, it can get real bad, so pay attention and try to use the Bordeaux spray, and you should be okay. Another thing about figs is that you're going to get generally two crops. You'll get one that's on the new growth, which is what we have here, and you'll get one on the old growth. And there's an actual term for those two crops. Okay, so now we're going to move on, and I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get started with the unwrapping of the aluminum foil to show you what we were doing with that Avi fig. All right, let's talk about Avi over here. So Avi is a fig that came from Israel as a small cutting, about a 6-inch cutting. And it was given to me by a good friend, it was probably about 7 or 8 years ago. Since that time, I've made lots and lots of fig trees of our exact clone over here, of our exact friend Avi. Avi is a fantastic fig tree for Florida. You would never think, right? It came all the way from Israel, but it does terrific down here. It does well in the ground, and it does well in containers. Avi is a fig that stays kind of a yellowish color when it's ready. And as a result, it doesn't seem to get attacked by the birds as often as the ones that are brown and kind of purplish and those kind of different combination of colors that have more bright tones to them. But these yellow figs, let me tell you, they're terrific. They're absolutely delicious. On the inside, I don't have one. I just ate one a couple of days ago, and I wasn't ready to make the video. But if I have a photograph, I'll post it. So Avi is a great fig, and one of the things that you can do with fig trees is propagate them quite easily. One of the ways is by cuttings, and another way is by this air layer method. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you what this looks like. We're going to cut this off and we're going to plant it so that we can make another Avi fig. Okay, so this should give you guys a real good view of the roots that are in here, and you can see all the sphagnum moss that's all over. Now, if you want to know specifically how I got to this point, everything I did to get here, okay, you need to look up the video on air layering. There's quite a few different ones, but watch the video on air layering. I think either the one for the lychee tree, or you can watch the one I've done a long time ago on a fig tree, but probably the lychee tree one is better in terms of its explanation, and also the one on the coffee air layer, how to create an air layer. So either one of those two videos. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this, and I'm going to put it inside the bucket. Okay, now I don't want to leave this like this for a long time and let these roots begin to dry out, because that's bad news. So what I've done is I've used a little bit of bleach with a little towelette here, and I've disinfected my pruner. Then I rinsed it off in some water, which is the clean water that I have in this container. and then I just, just dried it off, okay? Now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut this. If you can see the little fig that's there. It's a little fig right there on the end. So I'm gonna cut this guy off. There he is. And there's my stump. There's my roots. And now he goes into the bucket with water. This will keep him hydrated, and when I come right back, we'll go ahead and we'll step him up. And then stay tuned, because one other thing I'd like to do is, I'd like to, after I plant this guy, go into showing you the other fig that I did with the 2 additional grafts, to kind of give you a little bit more information about that. Hey, are you growing figs now? And where are you doing that? Are you doing it in containers? Are you doing it down here in South Florida? Are you in Louisiana? Are you in Texas? What do you grow? What kind of figs? And tell me a little bit about how awesome your figs are. Okay, so here is our bucket, and here is our Avi fig. He's been in the water a little bit here to kind of keep the roots from drying out. And a lot of times people will want to remove all this, and you can a little bit, I guess, but I don't usually do it because I don't find it to be a good idea. Generally, when you start to do that, yes, you'll see the rest of the roots and you'll expose them and everything, but I think messing around with this is a bad idea. So I usually don't do that. But if you find that it's easy to remove like this, you might want to take a little bit off, or some people actually hose it down and get it all the way down to the roots. But to me, I don't think it's a big deal, and you don't have to go through this entire process. But you know what? I've never done it, but now that I've started doing it for the purposes of demonstration and to find out if it hurts anything, let's go ahead and remove as much as we can. Look at all those roots. Nice roots, huh? Oh, I'm hating myself for doing this. But live and learn, right? I think it'll be fine. I remember someone telling me that they always do this, and I found out kind of odd that they would, but they swear by it, and I guess that you never know until you try, right? So we're doing this together. Now see, look at how many roots I've already lost doing that. That's a lot of roots. So this is why I don't remove it. So I'm kind of regretting that I did that, but let's see what happens. I'm not going to go any further, so I don't want to do any more damage to this. And let's go ahead and put it in the pot over here. Now you can go deeper. As a matter of fact, you can take it all the way down to the bottom of that stub. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to start filling this in. And I'll come right back once I have this filled in, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so Mr. Fig is in the pot. I pushed him all the way to the bottom so the stub would be touching the bottom of the pot. And I went ahead and I filled it in. And now I also cut back some of the branching and removed almost all of its leaves and left just one leaf. And the reason I did that is because I want to minimize transpiration. Transpiration is a loss of moisture or water vapor through the leaves. So I want the plant to be comfortable and have the least amount of stress possible because of the way the roots kind of got messed up. Now it is recommended that you do this for most air layers. I usually don't do it because my root system, I don't mess around with the sphagnum, and they do just fine. They don't wilt or anything. Certain trees like lychee trees and longan trees, when you do get that root system, you do want to do this. But with figs, generally I don't worry about it. But primarily the reason I did it with this one, as I said earlier, is because we did a little bit of damage to the roots. Now what we're going to do now is pretty simple, and I've got a little stick. This is a kind of a heavy duty one, so to speak. It's got a plastic coating on the exterior. It's kind of a metal stick, lightweight, I think aluminum. And then we can just kind of poke this down here on the side. It's a little bit longer than it normally should be. It should be about this height, but this is the only one I have available. And then we're going to go ahead, we're going to tie it off using the tie tape, which you can also use when you do grafts, just to kind of hold the two pieces together. And this is the way I like to do it. I just kind of go around and make a double piece and then loop it, and then just kind of just go through there, pull it together. Then I'll just cross it, do it one more time, and then, you know, pull it nice and tight, and then finish it off with a little square knot. Right over left, left over right. And you got a little square knot right there. And now you have your tree ready to go. Move it to a location that's bright, water it really well, let it stay there and watch it develop. Let it stay there and just watch it develop, and it should be doing great in no time. So this is how you make more trees, by using air layer. And if you want to watch the videos on how we actually created the air layer, watch the one about coffee air layer that I have on my channel, and also you can watch the one about the baobab, and you can watch the one about the lychee. So there's 3 different types. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you the fig tree that we talked about that has 2 different types of figs grafted onto it. Okay, so this is the fig that is called LSU purple. This is the LSU purple fig, and right here I grafted on a fig called Alma, and this looks like it's doing fine. On this one here, we have the graft right here, we have our parafilm, and we have quite a bit of growth. So this is looking good. Now I'll be honest with you, there are some times when your fig's looking great and you remove this, and believe it or not, that it's not properly fused together, and at that point it could fall right off. So to be on the safe side, I don't mind leaving it alone for 2.5 to 3 months before I remove the parafilm at this part, because this is where I get a little worried. Sometimes I've seen that happen, and then it doesn't fuse properly and it's weak and it'll just break off. So, but judging from this, it looks like it's fine, but again, I've seen this too often and then it ends up breaking off down here at the other end. Now it was wrapped all the way to the top originally, and I began to see it unraveling, and then we left it alone. But the idea is to create a fig tree that has multiple fruit. So you have here, you have your Avi. This is the Avi, the one that I did the air layer on that you just saw. And this is the Alma, which is a great fig. And then on here, this is the LSU purple. This is a really nice fig that, I'll tell you what, the birds love it. So you better be prepared to fight the birds off. One way you can do that is by putting some aluminum foil strips like antennas all over the branches, and it'll deter them somewhat. But if you really want to have figs that don't get attacked by the birds, go for the green and the yellowish figs. They're a little less likely to be hit by the birds. The other thing you can do is you can do netting. But I gotta tell you, Avi is a very delicious fig. Alma is a very delicious fig. LSU purple, it's kind of small, but it really tastes really good. So there are certain figs that do better in different parts of the country, and down here I've found good success with Avi. I've done very well with Alma figs. I've done really well with LSU, and there's LSU purple, and I believe there's LSU gold, and it's quite a few. So anything from Louisiana State University does generally very well down here in South Florida. Guys, I want to wrap it up. I want to thank you for visiting the channel. I hope you learned something, and I hope you'll give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and share the video. Again, any comments, just please leave them below, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. Okay, everybody, you have a great day. Enjoy it. Go out there in the garden and spend some time with your plants and grow something.